Hi, I'm George Overly. I'm the history librarian for the University Libraries, and I teach in the Department of History and Art History. This video is going to be on how to use the library catalog. To find George Mason's catalog, the first thing you have to do is go to the library's homepage, which is at library.gmu.edu. Now, at that site, you'll see a search bar in the middle of the page. Click on the advanced search option in order to get to better search options for your work. And in general, in most databases, that's a good rule of thumb to pick the advanced search option in almost any database that you encounter. When you get to that advanced search option, you'll see these radio buttons in the middle of the page in which it says Mason Catalog Articles and More, Mason Catalog, WRLC Catalogs, Articles and More, and then WRLC Catalogs. The one to start with is probably the Mason Catalog radio button. In that, it will only search the items that George Mason's library owns and that you'll have ready access to. The WRLC is the Washington Research Library Consortium. The Washington Research Library Consortium is a group of libraries who all share their library collections for their students. These different academic institutions have agreed to allow access to their collections. And if you want to search their catalog, you can use the WRLC catalogs. And the important thing, if you use that radio button, is that it searches Mason's catalog in addition to those other schools. So there are times to actually use that. However, in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis, it's been a little tricky to guarantee delivery of those materials. But we hope that there will be some kind of service. But for the short term, I would recommend starting with the Mason catalog. So if you select the Mason catalog, off to the left of the text box, there will be a set of fields that you can select to choose the type of search that you want to use. So if you know you want to find books by one of our professors here at George Mason, whose name is Rosemary Zagari, you can select the author/creator field and then type in her name. When you type in her name and run the search, you'll get a listing of about 15 different results. So ways that we might want to refine the results from the original search are over on the left. And one of the things that's really useful is to limit by resource type. So if you expand the options for resource types as books, manuscripts, other, and dissertations. Well, since we were looking for books that Dr. Zagari authored, just click on the books option, and that will limit our results to 6, which are very easy to browse through. You can choose to put the sort by, which is also on the left, and then sort by the most recent publication dates. Going down to the third example, the Revolutionary Backlash, you can scroll and look that we have several different short view catalog records. 2 of these are available in online format. And if you just want to start reading right now, click on that link. And actually, it takes you into the full record. And in that full record is really where the magic of what libraries do comes up. So the nice thing is, again, you can just start reading. So you can go into this JSTOR EBA link. And the nice thing about this JSTOR version is that they break everything down into nice chapters. However, that's not the magic. The magical part is actually below that full text content. And that's in the section of the catalog record that's called details. You see at the very first item is the title, and you also can see that there's the creator link, and then below that are the subjects. And these subjects are the Library of Congress subject headings. And this is how essentially academic libraries and the Library of Congress and other large research institutions organize their collections. And the nice thing about that is that you can count on these terms to always be used in whenever they identify particular books. So let's explore this quickly. By looking at this, we can see that this book is about US history during the Revolutionary period. And there's a date associated with this Revolutionary period. So one thing that I would start to do is I would start to think about, well, what do I really want to know if I want to do research on women's history in the American Revolution? And maybe I want to start to take down some keywords that I might use for future research. Notice what's below that: women, history, political activity. But I make a note of these kinds of terms, and then I go back and I start rethinking how I'm going to expand my research. Going back to our advanced search in the library catalog, we've written down a few different terms, such as Revolutionary period, 1775 through 1800, and women. Going back to our advanced search, put in the terms Revolutionary period, and then in parentheses 1775-1800, and then change the search field from author to subject. Then, as a secondary search, add in the term women, and also change the search to subject. When we run that search, we get 4 hits. 3 of them are different books that could be useful. One is on Eliza Hamilton. One is on Anne Royale, who was really a famous person in the Jacksonian period. And a third one is a very famous book called Women of the Republic. And I would fully explore the records the same way that we looked at Dr. Zagari's book. So you go into Women of the Republic, Intellect and Ideology in Revolutionary America. And when you get in, again, you have your access points, whether it's available online, or if the physical copy, which we do have a physical copy in the Fenwick Library, you can look and see if it's available. And one of the things that you would notice is the call number. The call number is its physical location on the shelf. Essentially, it's the Library of Congress subject headings that I mentioned earlier, just put into a code. If you scroll down, you'll see these pictures of books. You'll see they are under the heading called Virtual Browse. Essentially, we've all done this. We go into a library or we go into a bookstore and we look at the shelves. And typically, if things are organized well, then these books that are kind of similar to each other are usually shelved next to each other. It's a really effective way to find stuff through this kind of serendipity that happens usually in the library. Unfortunately, in the COVID-19 era, right now we do not have access to actually literally explore the library shelves. In this case, we can virtually explore the shelves, though. So there's another way to think about doing searches, and that's what you might have some strong familiarity with, which is a keyword search. And the keyword searches allow more flexibility. You can find your results in maybe the title, or maybe in one part of the subject field, or maybe even in the table of contents, because many of the newer books have table of contents loaded in the library records. So one thing you could do is then go back to your advanced search. Maybe you actually want to focus on women and war in the United States. And so what you can do is you can build a search, and using any field, you can put in the term war. Then in the second box, put in any field contains women. You actually want to limit that to the United States. And so you can click on the add a new line to bring up a third search option. And in there, you can put in the term United States. Right next to the any field, there's a drop-down box that defaults to contains. And if you change that to is exact, it's the same thing as putting quotes around your search, which is what we call phrase searching. That is an effective way to only find results that is United States. Otherwise, the computer will default to an or search, and they'll find United or States typically. So when we run this search, you'll find a pretty large set of search results. That's too much to browse through. But maybe your professor says, I want you to look for things that are more current. So the first thing we can do is we can sort by date newest. Over on the left, you can change it to date newest. This brings up the more recent materials that have been published that fit our search criteria. You can also scroll down to help narrow down your results by using the subject facets. And if you click on the social conditions option, it's going to bring our results down to 124, which is much nicer and maybe even doable, although it is still a bit much. If you know you're not going to be able to come to the library to check out any books, why not just click on the available online option underneath the availability? By clicking on that, that brings us down to 11 results, which is actually a pretty good set. By using this method, we took something very broad and we're starting to actually figure out how we need to think about narrowing down our topic. If you are able to access the materials on campus, you can sign up for what is called contactless borrowing. With our search results, war, women, and the United States, with the filter of social conditions as a subject, we have our 124 results. And the first result that came up for me by date newest is a title called Equality, an American Dilemma, 1866 to 1896. If you click on that record, one thing you'll see in the middle of the page is the availability at library. If that book is available, click on the sign in button that's right above it, and this will ask you to log in using your Mason credentials. Once you've logged in, you will have an option that appears above that called Get It. And in that Get It section, you can click on the Request button. You can choose which library you want to pick up the item. After you pick your library, you can then choose a date that you want to pick up the item, and then click on the Send Request. There will be a message that you'll receive from our circulation folks who will tell you when and how to use the contactless pickup. I hope this video has been useful in learning how to use the library catalog. Stay tuned because we have some new videos coming that can help explain how to find journal articles and how to find primary sources using some of the databases from the library.